After breaking up with my girlfriend, I married my mother-in-law. I am a middle-aged man who is divorced. My wife and business partner ran off abroad, taking my business and nearly all of my assets. The only thing left was a small amount of stock that I was stuck with, so that remained mine. At one point, I even thought about suicide. I disbanded the company and stayed in my house, silently staring at nothing, unsure of where my life was heading. Then the phone rang. It was Xiao Rui, the receptionist at my company. Usually, I didn't pay much attention to her since I was always busy with work, but this time, when I let the employees go, she left a strong impression on me. She insisted on staying with the company without asking for any compensation, and she told me she believed I could make a comeback. From that day on, Xiao Rui entered my life. I picked up the phone and heard Xiao Rui's familiar voice, "Brother Zheng, where are you? I've looked for you all over the company, and I can't find you. If you don't answer the phone, I'm going to call the police." Xiao Rui said anxiously from the other side of the line. "It's fine, little girl. I'm at home. I'm not feeling well today, so I didn't go to the company. Besides, there's nothing left at the company. I've let everyone go. There are just a few small tasks left, which I can handle myself. Don't worry about me," I replied weakly. I didn't understand where this girl got the confidence from, wanting me to get back on my feet. But without any funds, it felt so difficult. "Are you sick? Is it serious? Do you have medicine at home? If not, I can bring you some. What did you eat for lunch? Let me come over and make something for you." Xiao Rui's series of caring questions and warm words made me feel a surge of warmth in my heart. At that moment, I truly needed someone, and perhaps she was the one sent by heaven to save me. "No need to trouble yourself. I still have some snacks here, so I'll just have a light meal. Don't come over," I said, but in my heart, I actually wanted her to come. She was so enthusiastic, and I didn't feel like moving at all since I wasn't feeling well. After hanging up, I fell asleep again. When I woke up, I heard the doorbell ring. I quickly got up and opened the door. It was Xiao Rui, holding a large pile of things, obviously from the supermarket, and a bag labeled Zhongxing Pharmacy with medicine she had bought for me. Seeing her thoughtful gesture, my heart warmed, and I almost shed tears. At my lowest point, she was the one who stayed with me. To maintain my image as her boss, I quickly turned my head to wipe away my tears and smiled, saying, "You're really going out of your way for me. You even bought medicine. I'm embarrassed. Please come in, Xiao Rui." I took the things from her, and Xiao Rui quickly changed her shoes before entering. She poured me a glass of hot water and said, "Are you catching a cold? I brought some cold medicine. Drink this, and you'll feel better after some rest." She handed me the hot water. I drank it and enjoyed her care. It felt so nice to be looked after. I had often neglected myself while dealing with business, and my ex-wife had lived a life of luxury at home, often playing mahjong late into the night, eating poorly. After she came home late, I would always end up not getting enough rest. But seeing such a thoughtful person taking care of me, I instantly felt that these setbacks in life were worth it. Xiao Rui saw me lying down and immediately went to the kitchen to get busy. I had heard that her family was well off, and she came to our company to work as a receptionist to experience life. Given her background, she could have easily had a white-collar job, but she insisted on working at the front desk. Her reason was that the front desk is the company's mirror, and she wanted to be the most prominent person in the company. In just 1 year, she coincidentally encountered my unfortunate situation. When I woke up, I didn't know what time it was. Rubbing my eyes, I walked out of the bedroom and saw the dining table filled with delicious food: braised prawns, crispy pork knuckles, pine nut corn, steamed fish, and a few colorful vegetables. It seemed Xiao Rui was really skilled in cooking, and she didn't seem like the rich young lady that people talked about. Wow, so much delicious food. I'm in for a treat. I quickly sat down, eager to eat. Xiao Rui came out of the kitchen, wearing an apron and smiling at me. "Go wash up first. I still have the last soup to finish. It'll be ready in a minute. I want you to really taste my cooking today." Okay, let us see how the chef has mastered their skills. After I finished washing up, Xiao Rui had already started serving the soup. It looked fresh and fragrant from a distance. She brought a bowl to me and said, "Brother Zheng, try it and see how it tastes." I learned this recipe online, so it might not suit your taste. I took a sip, and the moment it touched my mouth, it was full of flavor. It was smooth and rich, reminding me of the kanji my mother used to make when I was a child. I finished the small bowl but deliberately didn't show any expression. Xiao Rui nervously observed my face, anxious about my reaction. I chuckled and said, "It's really good." "Oh my, you scared me. I thought it was a failure." "I practiced this in my mind for a long time before serving it to you, brother Zheng." Xiao Rui pouted, looking at me playfully. Seeing her act so cute made me feel like I wanted to take care of her. "Don't call me brother Zheng anymore, it feels too distant. Just call me Zheng Dage. I'm not a boss anymore. I can barely even pay you now, so you should find a new job," I said seriously, looking at Xiao Rui. I knew that her staying with me wasn't going to lead to anything good, especially with the age gap between us. I could almost be her father. I understood her feelings, but during such a tough period for me, how could I bear to let her suffer with me? "Okay, Jing Dage, but I don't want to leave. I've just gotten familiar with everyone here. You can't make me go. I want to stay and work by your side. I can even do it without pay." Xiao Rui started to cry, almost in desperation. Seeing her like this, my heart softened. "If you don't mind, you can stay and help me take care of the remaining company matters. There are still some stocks I haven't fully sold off, they're stuck right now. There's no big business left. Help me guard the last bit." Hearing that she could stay, Xiao Rui was overjoyed, like a child. She kept serving me food, happy and cheerful, and I found myself liking her more and more. Time passed quickly, and under Xiao Rui's care, I gradually stepped out of the shadow. As the stock started to rebound, I made the decision to sell off some of them, getting back a portion of my capital, and began investing in my original business again. Once I got back on track, I reached out to old business partners. Many of our clients, who had trusted us, decided to hand their businesses back over. Xiao Rui and I built a deep friendship through many business negotiations, and sometimes, she would subtly hint at something, but as someone who had been through it, I understood her intentions. However, given the age difference, I couldn't act on it. One day, while having dinner with the client, after a few drinks, joked about us. "Brother Zheng, you can't stay single forever. Your career is important, but you also need to think about your personal life. You can't keep being single like this." Manager Liu, the client, said with concern. "Thank you for your concern, Manager Liu. I've just gotten used to it. I'm always busy, and you know I like to work. When I'm working, I forget everything else. It's actually fine this way. I plan to stay single like this, so no need to worry about me. Cheers, and thank you for your concern." I raised my glass and toasted Manager Liu. "Not at all, I think you're the one who doesn't realize how lucky you are." I have to stand up for Xiao Rui. Over the years, I've seen it all. She's been so good to you, and you can't take her kindness for granted. "If you hurt Xiao Rui, I won't let you off the hook," said Manager Liu. His wife chimed in. "I could tell from the start how much Xiao Rui cares about you. Just now when you were drinking, Xiao Rui kept glancing at you, worried. Men are always so oblivious. Xiao Rui's feelings are obvious to everyone, except you, who pretends not to notice. Today, we're here to stand up for her." With that, she turned to look at Xiao Rui. What was supposed to be a simple dinner had somehow turned into a matchmaking session. Xiao Rui, usually such a cheerful girl, turned beet red from head to toe and couldn't even look up. She just focused on her meal and didn't say a word. I glanced at her in silence and quickly tried to defuse the situation. "Have you two been secretly chatting with Xiao Rui? You can't lead the girl astray, you know. Sister-in-law, don't let her overthink things." Manager Liu's wife laughed. "I think you men are all clueless. Just by looking at Xiao Rui's eyes, even I can tell what she is thinking." "Oh, auntie, don't tease me. You're going to scare me." Xiao Rui whispered to her sister-in-law. The two of them giggled and whispered to each other. After dinner, Manager Liu and his wife took a taxi home, and since I was feeling a bit full, I suggested walking back. Xiao Rui was more than happy to accompany me. As we reached a pedestrian bridge, I leaned on the railing, looking up at the stars and down at the bustling city. I suddenly felt that life wasn't so bad after all. All the negative thoughts and feelings I had earlier disappeared. Xiao Rui, excited, shouted into the street, seemingly wanting to release her stress. I watched her affectionately, thinking that if she were just a little older, things might be different. Suddenly, Xiao Rui turned to me and asked, Jing Dage, what do you think about what they said just now? Hearing this, I thought to myself, this was it. It seemed like she was about to lay everything out. How should I respond? The truth was, I liked her too, but the age gap made me hesitate. I felt that if I admitted my feelings, I'd only end up hurting her. What do you mean by what they said? There's nothing to think about. Don't overthink it, they were just joking with you. I stammered, trying to brush it off. But Xiao Rui didn't give up, pressing on, Jing Dage, let us be honest. I like you, and after all this time, you should have known how I feel. Why do you keep rejecting me? You're single, I'm not married, and we get along so well, so why do you always avoid me? I fell silent, looking into Xiao Rui's eyes, which were brimming with tears. I knew that in that moment, I couldn't let this girl hurt anymore. I pulled her into my arms tightly. I know everything. I know you're good to me, and I like you too. I can't bear to see you sad, I said, also holding back tears. Xiao Rui looked up at me, her voice soft and tender as she asked, then why do you keep avoiding me? Every time I try to express how I feel, you always make an excuse to run away. You're so bad. If I had known you liked me too, I wouldn't have been so worried all the time. All right, it's my fault. But the age gap between us is a bit much. Do you think your family would approve? Love is about two people, but marriage involves their whole family, I said, my face serious as I looked at her. A smile spread across Xiao Rui's face, and she said, you're talking about marriage? I haven't thought that far ahead. I just know I'm happy when I'm with you. You make me feel like I can depend on you. I've already decided on you. You can't leave me now. I won't. I'll treat you better from now on. I'll only love you for the rest of my life, I promised, looking at her seriously. Without warning, Xiao Rui leaned in and kissed me quickly. This is my seal. From now on, you're mine, and no one can get in the way, she said with a playful grin. With that kiss, our relationship took a new step. When we got home, I handed Xiao Rui the key to my place. Here, take the key. You can come anytime now. No need to knock. If it's too much trouble, just move in. I have plenty of rooms. Dream on. I'm not moving in. I have to take care of you. I don't want to be your maid, Xiao Rui said, pretending to be dignified. Hey, no baxes. It's already stamped, I pointed to the kiss mark on my face. That does count. You never made the first move. I've always been the one making the move. I'm a girl, you know. Xiao Rui pouted. I instantly understood, and in a swift move, I kissed her deeply. We only parted after a long while, and the air was filled with the sweetness of happiness. A month after we confirmed our relationship, Xiao Rui suddenly called me. She told me that her mom and grandmother had returned from abroad and wanted to see her. I quickly packed my things and rushed home, only to find that Xiao Rui had already moved in with me. As soon as I entered, I saw her packing up to move out. What are you doing? Why are you moving things out? I asked, surprised. My mom doesn't know about us yet. I haven't told my family. Her visit is short, so I'll tell her later. I'm moving back for now, and once they leave, I'll come back, Xiao Rui said, sweating as she continued packing. I quickly told her to stop and said, don't worry about it. I don't have much stuff. I'll move it out. Besides, your apartment was probably rented out a long time ago, right? It's been so long. Where are you going to find a place now? Xiao Rui looked helpless. She had already given up the apartment, and the landlord had probably already forgotten about her or rented it out. It seemed like she'd have to trouble me for now. What will you do? Where will you stay? I asked. I'll stay at the office for a few days. My office is big, and I'll just put a folding bed in there. It'll be fine for the night, I said, trying to sound casual. Well, I guess you'll have to bear with it, dear, Xiao Rui kissed me. With that kiss, what a little inconvenience to me. We packed up my things and quickly put together a bag of essential items. Since her family was arriving that evening, I hurriedly finished packing and went to work, leaving Xiao Rui to continue packing by herself. At 6 p.m., I received a text, "My mom wants to meet you. Find a way to decline later." I was confused, and just then, Xiao Rui's call came through. "Hello, Mr. Zheng, my mom and grandma are here today. They want to thank you for taking care of me. Are you free tonight? They'd like to invite you to dinner," Xiao Rui said seriously. I hadn't heard her speak so seriously in a long time. I was considering whether this might be a good opportunity to meet her family. Maybe it would give me a chance to be open about our relationship, which could avoid many complications in the future. I didn't answer as she expected. After a pause, I said, "I'm free tonight, actually. Send me the address, and I'll come over." Xiao Rui seemed surprised. "You want me to send you the location? Isn't he at your own home? HMPH, looks like you're the one walking into your own trap tonight. You're really bold." At 7 p.m., I knocked on the door of my own home. Xiao Rui opened the door and saw me in a suit, carrying some things. She gave me a look as if saying, "Who told you to make your own decisions and come here?" I smiled and entered confidently. Xiao Rui's mom quickly came out of the kitchen at the sound of the door, and as Xiao Rui began to explain, I saw a familiar face. "Is that you, Liu Lei? Long time no see," I stood there, stunned. Xiao Rui's grandmother came over as well, and upon seeing me, was equally surprised. I didn't know what to say, and Xiao Rui's mom hurriedly invited me to sit in the living room. Xiao Rui, on the other hand, looked lost and confused, like she was stuck in a fog. As I sat down, memories of the time when Liu Lei and I were together flooded my mind. Back then, we were a couple in college, and we were even talking about marriage. Then, I heard that Liu Lei's father had encountered some issues with his business abroad, and her whole family moved there. Her parents had been supportive of our relationship, but after the accident, we lost contact. It's been so many years, and now, I was meeting her under such circumstances. No wonder Xiao Rui's mom wanted to meet me. She must have guessed it was me, though I wasn't sure if Xiao Rui had told her about our relationship. "Old Zheng, you're still the same, haven't changed a bit? Xiao Rui told me you've been taking good care of her at the company. My mom and I have been abroad for so long, and we haven't been able to take care of Xiao Rui. She's a bit wild. I hope she hasn't caused you any trouble," Liu Lei said in the same calm tone she always had. "Not at all. Our company just got through a difficult time, and if it weren't for Xiao Rui's help, we might not have made it. I should thank you both. Xiao Rui's assistance has been invaluable," I quickly said, being polite. "I heard about your company's situation from Xiao Rui. You've had a tough time as well. When I first heard your name, I didn't think it could be you. I thought it couldn't be that coincidental, but when I saw it, it was you indeed. Back then, you took good care of me, and now you're taking care of my daughter. It's really fate. I guess this meal is well worth it," Liu Lei said with her usual politeness. "Xiao Zheng, your success today is all because of your own hard work. If it weren't for our family's misfortune back then, maybe we would become family. But alas, life is unpredictable," Xiao Rui's grandmother said, tears welling up in her eyes. Xiao Rui looked confused, silently eating her food while looking at us. She probably realized that Jingji must have known my mom and grandmother for a long time. What was going on? I'd have to ask them tonight. During the dinner, Liu Lei looked at me with a gentle expression, and I instantly felt like I was back in those old days. When asked about my ex-wife, she knew I had divorced and looked at me with even more tenderness, her eyes glowing. I felt something different inside me at that moment. After I left, Xiao Rui quietly walked up to Liu Lei, leaned against her, and asked playfully, "Mom, you seem to know our Mr. Zheng really well. Is there some story there? Tell me about it. Little girl, stop crying. Go away." Liu Lei blushed and pushed Xiao Rui aside. "Har har, your mom is so old, yet she blushes. Xiao Rui, come here, let me tell you," Grandma said kindly, looking at me. "Ayer, Mom, stop. If this little brat finds out, she'll just tease me." Liu Lei ran off shyly. "All right, Xiao Rui, since your mom doesn't want to tell you, I won't either. Don't let her get mad at me. Go ahead and get some sleep," Grandma said before heading to the bedroom. Xiao Rui became even more curious. Could it be that her mom and Mr. Zheng had some kind of close relationship? What was going on? Since they wouldn't tell her, she decided she'd ask Mr. Zheng directly. She was determined that he wouldn't refuse. The next morning, she arrived at the company first and waited at the front desk for Mr. Zheng. As soon as it was 8 a.m., Mr. Zheng saw her and turned to walk away. Xiao Rui knew something was up and followed him into the office. "Mr. Zheng, why are you running away? I'm not going to bite you. What happened last night? Tell me." Xiao Rui followed him into the office. "What happened? What could have happened? It's just that you asked me to come over to thank me. I pretended not to know anything. I'm being serious now. You and my mom have known each other for a long time, right? And the way you look at her. What's going on? Don't hide anything from me," Xiao Rui said, pouting. It seemed that today I couldn't hide it anymore. I had heard that Liu Lei wasn't leaving the country, so we'd definitely be seeing each other more in the future. I decided to tell Xiao Rui to avoid any future awkwardness. Your mom and I were a couple in college. We were about to get married after graduation, but then something happened to your grandfather, and the whole family had to go abroad. If that hadn't happened, we might have been a family by now, I said, gazing out the window with a bit of sadness, as if the past were still vivid in my mind. Xiao Rui listened patiently, her eyes filling with tears as if she were hearing a distant love story. I understand now. When my mom talked about her beloved one, she was talking about you. When I was little, I often saw my mom sighing in the yard. She was always reminiscing about her time in the country. I didn't know back then that the person she missed was you, Mr. Zheng, Xiao Rui said, crying. She felt both sorry for her mom and for herself, unsure of how to face her family and love in the future. It seemed like she was in a dilemma. What should she do? My heart ached as I watched Xiao Rui walk out of my office, her eyes blank. I worried that something might happen to her, so I silently followed her. She turned around and saw me behind her, shouting, "Go away. I don't want to see you. Go away." Tears immediately filled her eyes. I wanted to cry too, but I wasn't sure if I should stay strong or cry with her. I could only follow silently, feeling torn inside. Last night, when I saw Liu Lei, she still looked the same as she did back then. It seemed I hadn't really forgotten her. After I left, I received a call from Liu Lei. She told me she had forgotten about me and wanted to reconnect. I felt conflicted. I didn't have the courage to tell her that I was dating her daughter. What should I do? The next day, I followed Xiao Rui from a distance as she took a taxi and left. I thought she would get over her sadness soon, but things were far more complicated than I expected. For 3 consecutive days, I couldn't find her. I finally called Liu Lei to ask about Xiao Rui. Liu Lei was surprised when she found out. Isn't she on a business trip? It's been 3 days already. She told us not to worry, saying the company had arranged a trip for her. I thought you knew. This kid always disappears without telling anyone. It's so frustrating. Don't worry, Xiao Lei. Maybe she just went out to clear her head. She should be back soon, I comforted her, not telling her the truth that Xiao Rui had left because of me. If I told Liu Lei, would she hate me? I decided not to tell her. Maybe Xiao Rui was just taking some time for herself. I kept telling myself to think positively. A month passed, and I called Xiao Rui countless times, but every time, the call went unanswered. Maybe I was the last person she wanted to see. During this time, Liu Lei and I kept in touch, trying to find out Xiao Rui's whereabouts. Slowly, we stopped holding out hope. If she really wanted to see me, she would show up. Liu Lei, who had been missing Xiao Rui day and night, gradually became thinner. I took on the responsibility of looking after both Liu Lei and Xiao Rui's grandmother. Soon, Liu Lei and I rebuilt our trust, and Xiao Rui's grandmother was more supportive of us now. A year later, Liu Lei and I finally went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and got our marriage certificate, officially becoming husband and wife. My mother-in-law looked at us, the late newlyweds, her eyes slowly filling with tears. It felt like a lifetime ago. On the second day of our marriage, my mother-in-law took out a letter Xiao Rui had written to us. Dear Mom, I hope this letter finds you well. I'm your beloved Xiao Rui. Please forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye. I've already said my farewells to Grandma, and I've asked her to give you this letter the day after your wedding. I've gone to another city. Ever since I learned about your love story with Mr. Zheng, I realized I'm not worthy of him. From now on, I should call him Dad. Actually, my boyfriend is also Mr. Zheng, but I didn't have time to tell you. But don't worry about me. After all, you knew Mr. Zheng before I did, and you need him more than I do. I'll work hard in this new city, and once I've established myself here, I'll come back and bring you, Mr. Zheng, and Grandma with me. We'll reunite as a family. Love, Xiao Rui. After reading the letter, Liu Lei burst into tears and hit my shoulder. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me that I fell in love with the same person as my child? Why didn't you tell me? Liu Lei cried uncontrollably. I also couldn't find the words, crying silently beside her. When Liu Lei finished crying, my mother-in-law slowly said, "Child, don't be sad. No matter what, Jin Jian is now our family. Regardless of the love story, I've accepted this child. Life needs to be lived slowly, looking forward to the future. I believe Xiao Rui will soon overcome this hurdle. She will have a bright future." I wiped the tears from Liu Lei's face, nodded deeply at my mother-in-law, and we both looked out the window. A gentle breeze blew outside. Our journey was still long, but we silently wished Xiao Rui well. She would have a bright future.